So recently I've been doing a little bit of a camera gear purge, selling off lenses or other pieces of gear that I don't really use too often or I don't think is really necessary. You can call it spring cleaning if you want to, but I just simply had way too much stuff that was collecting dust. So in this video, I want to share with you guys all of the camera gear, everything I'm using for photo and video that I use to take the photos and create the YouTube videos that I do. Now, if you watch my videos fairly often, then you probably do already know most of the gear I already use, like my Sony a7CR and my Sony FX3 to film these videos, along with my original a7C, and we'll talk about those a little bit in this video, but I have a couple new additions that I wanted to share with you guys that I have not shown or talked about on the channel yet. So we'll get to those things shortly, but I'm really excited because I think these things will help take my photography in a new direction this year. Because things have been getting a little stale, maybe not boring, but I haven't really been experimenting or trying anything new recently, and that's going to change. So with that, let's get into it. And the first new addition is not a camera or a lens, it's actually this case, which I'm currently about to drop. So I finally have somewhere to store all of my extra gear because for the past couple years, all of my lenses and cameras were sitting here on my workbench, just collecting dust. So now I have somewhere I can safely store all of my extra lenses. So this is the Lycus PVC-1, and I've never heard of Lycus before, but they reached out to me and offered to send me this, which was perfect timing because I was actually in the market looking for a waterproof hard case to store all of my extra gear in. And the one they sent me ended up being the perfect size to fit all of my lenses and my a7C. I'll put the size dimensions on the screen for reference because I do not remember them off the top of my head. But like most hard cases, this one is waterproof, just like I mentioned. As you can see on the inside, this one does have Velcro dividers, which I think allows you to allocate your space much more efficiently compared to foam inserts. You may notice this big space here where I currently do not have anything. Now I actually do, and I'm going to be saving that for later in the video to reveal. On the top row, I have my Yongnuo 85mm 1.8. Not my favorite focal length, but it's great if you're shooting portraits or any kind of headshots really. Next to that is my 24mm 2.8G and my 50mm 2.5G. Now, I actually debated selling these recently, but I know I would regret it because they are great small compact lenses to use and just throw on your camera and go out and shoot. They pair especially well with my Sony a7C, which I use as my general everyday carry camera. Now under those, I have my 24-105. Probably my most underappreciated lens since I stopped using it to film my videos, but it's so versatile that it's hard to let go of. Next to the a7C, I have my first new addition that I just recently acquired, and that is my TT Artisan 11mm 2.8 fisheye. Now I just picked this up, so I haven't really had a chance to use it yet, but I'm very excited to get out and experiment and try some new stuff with this lens. Alright, and in the top right, I have some spare filters that I use quite often. My Peter McKinnon 2 to 5 stop variable ND, and some polarizers for my lenses. And hang around till later in the video to find out what I'm keeping in the big pocket, or skip toward the end if you want to. It's not gonna hurt my feelings, honestly. Alright, now let's talk about my primary cameras that I use. For my main photo camera, of course, I have my Sony a7CR and my 35mm 1.8. Some things never change, and this is going to be one of them. This is my absolute favorite camera and lens to use. I could get rid of pretty much everything else that I mentioned in this video, and if I just have this, I will be good. I'll be happy. The 61 megapixel sensor is more than enough for any kind of photos I would ever need to take, and the 35mm focal length is kind of that perfect focal length in my personal opinion that I can cover and shoot pretty much anything. Now in my sling behind me, I would normally carry my 24mm and my 50mm or my 20mm instead of the 24mm. But as of recently, I've replaced all of those in my camera bag with the 20-70. If you saw my last video, I've been trying to use this more for photography because it is such a versatile zoom lens. And it pairs great with the a7CR because it's fairly compact for a zoom lens. Now, normally I use this to film all of my videos, But as of recently, I've been using my Sony 20mm 1.8 on my Sony FX3 to shoot my videos. Now, I recently made a video going over my camera bag for what I use for filming my YouTube videos, so I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I realized after I made that video, I actually did not talk about my FX3 all that much. Ironically, I filmed that video just a couple weeks ago, but since then, I feel like a lot has already changed. But that's just kind of the nature of doing this. Before the FX3, it's no secret that this is a lot of people's go-to camera for filming any kind of videos, whether that's YouTube or client work. And that's because it's basically near perfect at what it does. Having my Sony a7CR for photo and then having the FX3 for video is pretty much the perfect combo. As I said, the a7CR is my primary photo camera, but I still use my original a7C quite a lot. Now, my mentality behind which I'm going to use whenever I'm going out to shoot is I might take both with me and just have different prime lenses on each, or if I'm just going out primarily with the purpose of taking photos, I'll usually always grab my a7CR first. But if I'm just going out and maybe don't necessarily have the intention of taking photos, maybe I'm just walking around downtown with my wife or going to a coffee shop or somewhere, I'm more likely to just carry my original a7C with the 24mm 2.8 with me. And this camera is 24 megapixels, and even with the APS-C crop, it's somewhere around like 8 to 10 megapixels, something like that. And that's more than enough if I'm just posting on social media. All right, so on to what I am most excited to talk about, and is pretty much the main reason I even wanted to make this video in the first place, just so I could share this with you guys, and I had an excuse to tell you guys about this new lens that I just picked up, and I'm very excited to get out and start using it. I haven't had the chance to yet, but without further ado, it is the Sony 70-200 f4G Mark II lens, OSS, and it's also a macro lens. So last year when I was at Sony Condo, I was on a mission to find the right telephoto lens for my Sony a7CR. Now normally I do like to stick to compact prime lenses because I think that's what fits best on the a7CR, but I realized I was really limiting myself on the kind of photos I can take, and I thought having a nice telephoto lens for my camera would be a great way of spicing up and just making my photography feel a little bit more fresh and exciting. I was initially interested in the 100-400 G Master lens, but after trying it out, and while I absolutely loved using it, it's definitely a lot more expensive than this is, but it's also much, much larger, probably nearly twice the size of this lens. And I was talking to the gear rental people, and they told me to try this out, and initially I was kind of skeptical, not really very interested, because I wanted something with a lot more reach than just 200 millimeters, especially if I wanted to try out any kind of wildlife photography. 200 millimeters just isn't really gonna cut it. And the first time I put this on my Sony a7CR, it was kind of love at first sight, because for a telephoto lens, it's relatively compact and it actually fits extremely well on this camera. Plus, if I put the camera in crop mode, I'm effectively getting a 70-300 millimeter focal range. So I think I'm going to start with this and just dabble a little bit into wildlife photography, and if I really think it's necessary, I can just pick up a teleconverter later on. I haven't decided between the 1.4 and the 2x teleconverter. I might rent those and just try them out and see what I think, or if I get invited to Sony Condo this year, I'll try them out then. But until then, I'm pretty happy with this. I think I've played around with it just a little bit. I haven't had the chance to actually go out and shoot with it just yet, but I will be doing that relatively soon, hopefully, and hopefully you guys will see that in a future video. And like I mentioned, this lens does also have macro capabilities. So not only could I experiment a little bit with wildlife photography, I could also try out shooting a little bit more, macro photography as well. So I think it works out, and I think this lens is a great value for what it is, especially since I just got it before the prices went up. So I got really lucky with that. I had to sell quite a few pieces of gear to be able to afford this, but I think it will be worth it. So that is all of the camera gear that I'm going to be using in 2025 and hopefully beyond, because this is already way too much stuff for me. All right, now that is enough of me talking about camera gear. If you guys want to see more videos of me actually going out and using most of this stuff, Not this yet, that will be coming soon. You can head over to my channel and watch my photo walk videos. I'll link the playlist up in the corner and you guys can go check that out. Those are my absolute favorite videos to make, and making gear videos just like this one is what allows me to go out and create what I'm truly passionate about. So thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe to help support the channel. If you really want to help support the channel, you can become a member and see videos just like this one early. But in the meantime, I hope I could inspire you guys to get out and take more photos. Go out and shoot.